Hello, my name is Jim Royal. Today I'm going to be reviewing a classic solo Beatle album. This one's from Paul McCartney and Wings. It is their second album. It's entitled Red Rose Speedway. It was released in 1973 in May of that year. Here's some interesting information about it. Red Rose Speedway was a #1 album. It had a #1 single on it, My Love. It was originally supposed to be a double album, though the powers that be and Paul McCartney decided to trim some of the rockers off and some of the material that the other band members were going to contribute in favor of, and this is the quote, a more pop commercial sound. And I think they delivered. Glenn Johns, famous producer, engineer, was supposed to either produce or co-produce with Paul McCartney on this one. He left very early on in the sessions. I'm not exactly sure why. Glenn Johns was a famous producer. He produced Led Zeppelin, The Who, Rolling Stones. He also worked with the Beatles during the Get Back sessions, Let It Be, as engineer. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of the members of the band. Wings was a band that lasted for about 10 years, from 1971 to 1981. It had 3 members that stayed constant with it the whole time, and then the other members kept changing. You had Paul McCartney, you had Linda McCartney, his wife. She played keyboards, piano, backing vocals. Occasionally she would sing lead vocal. Then you had Denny Laine, who was ex-member of the Moody Blues before they got really big. His contribution for Moody Blues, probably you would remember the song Go Now, which I've always liked a lot. And he would play rhythm guitar. He would do backing vocals, occasionally write. He would sometimes write with Paul and sometimes sing lead. And the 3 of them just did wonderful backing vocals, very wonderful harmonies. Then on this album you had Denny Swell, who was a session drummer in New York. When Paul and Linda were recording their solo album Ram in 1970 and 71, he was the session drummer for that, and they liked him a lot. They asked him to join the band Wings, and he did. So this being the second album, and the first album that he played on with them was Wings Wildlife. And then you had, rounding it out, Henry McCullough, who was an Irishman, lead guitarist. His claim to fame, one of the bands he played with was Joe Cocker. He was a backing group for Joe during the Woodstock film. He played lead guitar and is credited for just having a wonderful solo on the song My Love, and I'll tell you about that in a little bit. With that said, I will first off say that, let me show you the front of the album. The album was named after Paul McCartney's housekeeper, Rosie. And then on the back, there's actually Braille here, which I think is interesting. And this is tribute to Stevie Wonder. It says, "We love you, Stevie." And it's right there. It's a gatefold, opens up. There's lyrics right here. And different pictures. My favorite picture is Paul shaving, if I can find it here. Let's see. Yeah, I like this one. This one's kind of fun. So, alright. The critics blast this album, and I really don't know why. Okay, when I first started getting into Beatles solo stuff in junior high, this was one of the first things that I listened to. I had a cassette of it, I still have it, and I played it all the time. Okay, I have family that even trashed this album. I have yet to find a critic who praised this. You know, everybody just slams it. But I'm going to defend it. I'm going to try to defend it, and I'm also going to try to be honest, because there are flaws with this album. The first thing that I'll say about this album is, you know, like when you listen to a smooth jazz album, you put it in and you know what you're going to get. You know, or you put on a blues album, you know the kind of feel. What Paul was able to capture on this, by having that McCartney mellow sound, he has some rockers, but you put it in and it's just consistent all the way through. You know, easy going, easy flowing, And that's what I like about it. I put it in a couple weeks ago before I did this review. Just listened to it all the way through, and I listened to it today again. It just keeps getting better and better. So with that said, I'm going to tell you about the songs. The first song is called Big Barn Bed. Big Barn Bed it's a throwaway tune, but it's a rocker. I think what it does is it just conveys to the listener, hey, this is a group that really enjoys playing together. They look like they're having a good time. It's a fun song. That's what I like best about it. The next song is called My Love. My Love is a wonderful Beatles song. It could have been on any Beatle album. It's just as good in my opinion. It's Paul McCartney at his best. It's one of my favorite of his as a solo artist. And the claim about this was originally, when it was recorded live with an orchestra. And they had to get it right. Studio time's very expensive. On top of that, all of the members of the orchestra are very expensive. So you don't want to just, hey, let's tinker with this, tinker that. So they had rehearsed the song, the band, they were ready to play. And Henry McCullough, the guitarist, lead guitarist, talked to Paul at the last moment and says, hey, I have an idea. And he says, well, what is it? He says, well, I'm not sure, but I have something that I think will work for the solo. So Paul kind of said, well, I kind of felt like, I needed to believe in him, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. In one take, he nailed it. And the take is what you hear, on the finished record. It's just wonderful. My Love, what can you say? When the cover's bare, I'll still find something there, with My Love does it good. It's a tribute to his wife, Linda McCartney. It's a love song, and I can't say enough about how great I like it. The next song is called Get on the Right Thing. Get on the Right Thing is a leftover track from the Ram sessions. It's a rocker. It's another rocker. Really, there's only two main rockers on this whole album out of the 12 songs. And it does the album very good. I like it. I think it's one of my favorite on the album. Get on the Right Thing. It's just, they're having a good time again. It's Paul. He's in top form. His voice. They look like they're having a good time recording it. And good time to be had for all. The next song on here is One More Kiss. This is Paul's attempt at country. It's a simple song. Give me one more kiss. I didn't mean to hurt you, little girl. Let's make it one night to remember. Give me one more kiss. It's a little different for Paul. He hadn't really done country too much before. You had Rocky Raccoon. It's a nice little ballad. Kind of forgetful, to be honest with you, but it was recorded very well. The next song is called Little Lamb, Dragonfly. And this was actually two songs. Little Lamb, Dragonfly, I guess the story is for the Little Lamb part. There was a neighbor, from their ranch that brought this near-frozen little lamb to their farm, and they had hoped that Paul and Linda would nurse it back to health, which they were able to. And he said the little lamb actually survived. So, yeah, it's kind of forgetful. It's another Ram leftover. Not one of the best songs on the album, but it's Paul McCartney. And the thing about Paul, I will say, a negative regarding this, is throughout his career, he needs someone to challenge him, okay? When he had a writing partner like John Lennon, he was challenged, he delivered his best. I think musically, this is a great album. I think the lyrics on some of this, or maybe some of the content, what he was writing about, had a little bit to be desired on some of it, but it's a feel-good album, and that I will give it credit for. It's produced very well. I just wish that, he would have done more with other people after John. He tried it with Elvis Costello. I think he pulled it off with him, but very short-lived. All right, well, that's the first side. The next song is called Single Pigeon, and this is Paul. This sounds like it could have been right off of the White Album from the Beatles. It wasn't, but it sounded like that, where you're in a band and it sounds like you're doing solo material, like the White Album pretty much was comprised of. Paul at the piano, you have a little string arrangement in back of him that's also playing, and I love it. I really like the song a lot. The next song is called Win the Night. Win the Night is a song that could have been right from the McCartney solo album, McCartney. He's doing his, when he was with the Beatles toward the end, he started singing at times, like for Hey Jude, for example, he'd get his voice real low. He's doing that here too. I think pretty much this was the last album that he did that. So when I'm talking about it, it says, when the night shine on me, shine on you. He's doing this low register just at that point, and it's like, oh, come on, Paul. It's not really, the thing about it, it's kind of a forgetful song, but it's done very well. The next song is called Loop, First Indian on the Moon. This is the sole instrumental on the album. Paul has put out very few instrumentals on his albums. This is one of them. Native American, Indian we're referring to here. You have little tom-tom sound, and at the same time you have some space age Moog synthesizer, which I think Paul plays, and I think that's supposed to symbolize the space, the moon. A critic had blasted this song saying it was almost like a Pink Floyd soundtrack, bad Pink Floyd soundtrack outtake. I don't know. I don't think so. There's also chanting on there. It's always been fun. Check it out. There's some good bass playing that is really pronounced by Paul on there. And then what you have is you have the medley, the last 4 songs. These are, unfinished songs that were put together. Hold Me Tight, Lazy Dynamite, Hands of Love, and Power Cut. Of the 4, I like Hold Me Tight the best. No relation to the Beatles song. There is backing, a little string arrangement in back of it. I think it's done very well. I think it's a really nice song. He links the songs together, very similar to what the Beatles did on the second side of Abbey Road. Though I will say he didn't pull it off quite as much, I'll be honest. I think this is kind of the weakest part of the album. I think they could have done better. Some forgetful songs on here. Lazy Dynamite, I think he could have left that off. Hands of Love is just kind of there. Power Cut was a song that was written in the UK during that time. There were a lot of power outages. So during the middle of one, Paul decided to write a song. And it was funny. It's like, okay, I'm going to write a song about nothing and turn it into something. And I think he delivered. It's fun, and that's what you got to say. It's a fun album. You can't take everything seriously in life, and this is just an album you listen to and you enjoy. Well, a critic that I read blasted this too, this medley, comparing it to the Beatles' Abbey Road medley, say, yeah, the difference with this was half finished and half-assed, that medley. So, I don't know, I think it could have done better. I think it is the weakest part of the album. If you do have the CD, there are some bonus songs on there. There's 3 bonus tracks. I Lie Around, which I think Paul McCartney wrote, but Denny Laine sang. It's an okay song, it's nice. It was a B-side for another song later on. Country Dreamer, another country song that Paul sang. It was good, nice B-side. And then The Mess. The Mess is an absolute wonderful rocker. I think it was recorded in the Netherlands at The Hague in 1972. There's a studio version of this song available somewhere, but this was the live version, and I think he pulled it off. And The Mess is referring to a woman leaving the man in the song, and he says, "Oh, sweet darling, the mess I'm in, that since you've left me." On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, how would I rate this album? I would give it 7. And I would encourage people who blast this album, just say it's no good, give it another try. Put on some headphones. It's one of those things that kind of grow with you as time goes on. I really nearly don't think it's as bad as what people say. Would I start here if I was going back to the Beatles and the Beatles solo stuff? Would I buy this first? No. But I certainly wouldn't pass it up. So I want to thank you very much for watching my review. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done already. And you have a nice day. Take care. Bye.